Alrighty, let's go live. Hello, everyone out there. Kevin Griffin here. Welcome to my stream. I only have a little bit of time today, but I'm really trying to make this a little bit more of a regular thing. So, welcome. I'm glad you could hang out with me. And let's see, I want to do something fun today. Specifically, I want to start building out a classic text adventure game. So, what does that mean? I've been reminiscing quite a bit, talking to a couple of friends, and we talk about our origin stories. And I remember when I was younger, probably like 9 or 10, that's when I first started getting into computers and working with software. And I was introduced to QBasic as kind of my first programming language. And on the on the computer, it would say, all right, go into QBasic, start writing. Here's how you write a little bit of code. I got hooked. And back then, we didn't have internet or anything. We kind of had BBSs still going on, but that leap to like dial-up internet hadn't really happened yet. So I would go to the library and I would check out books on programming. And I remember grabbing this great book on programming text adventures in QBasic. And that was a lot of fun because it was a good way to learn a lot of constructs of programming, how to use QBasic. And I was a really big fan of a lot of classic adventure games. I played Adventure, a lot of the early Infocom games. I really had an appreciation for that style of gaming. And there's a lot of history that goes with classic adventure games as well. And there's a lot of very unique problems that classic adventure games have to solve that I think would be beneficial for people getting into development today. And so I was sitting back and I was chatting with someone about this and went, what's it look like to build a classic text adventure game in a more modern programming language? And I kind of go back and forth between a lot of languages, but C# is kind of I always come back to C#. So what if I were to build a classic adventure game in C#, using some more modern techniques? And, let's solve the problem similar to the ways that they did 20, 30 years ago, but maybe we can take a more modern approach to it. Maybe we have access to tools that they didn't have access to. So let's jump in. So if you're jumping in, hello everyone, and say hi in the chat. I love chatting with you all. This was very last minute. I didn't plan this at all. So if no one shows up, that's fine. All right. Well, first things first, I need to create a repository to get everything going. And I have no idea what I'm going to call this thing. So we'll just go in. We'll say new repository. Wait. One thing I used to do when I was working on a lot of projects is I would code name them after streets in one of the old neighborhoods I lived on. So I was just kind of thinking about the old neighborhood, and I'm going to call this project. We'll call it Project Dover. So there was a road in my old neighborhood growing up called Dover. It was actually like a cul-de-sac. So we'll just say Project Dover. And we'll say this is Kevin's attempt to write a classic adventure game with modern tools. I'm going to leave it public because why not? Let's go ahead and initialize it. We'll say Visual Studio. I'm not going to put a license on it yet because it's just me goofing around. All right, so Project Dover is up and running. Let's go clone our repo. let's go into it. All right, well, step one, let's go ahead. You know what? I forget that people are watching this on different screens. I'm going to make my text a little bit bigger for y'all. So let's bump this up to, say, 32. That's probably a lot better. I'm running with .NET Core, so I'm going to say .NET New console. And you know what? I'm going to try to keep this as cross-platform as possible. If this actually turns into something, it'd be a lot of fun to say, here's the Windows build, here's the Mac build, here's the Linux build. So let me just do all this work inside of VS Code. All right. So let's open up. Go ahead and adjust some preferences real fast. All right, that probably works really well. Required assets to build and debug are missing. Should we add them? Yes, we should. All right. Okay. Yay, this is fun. We're starting from absolute scratch, which means this is scary, scary stuff. So let's talk about, there's an update. Let's just create a sample file. So we'll just call this notes MD. When you go into classic adventure games, there's a couple just general things to think about and problems that we have to solve. So I'll solve that update later. The first is we have to create a system for rooms. And what's a room have in it? A room has a description. A room has what they call exits. Exits are typically one of the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. You also have up, down. So if you were to come into a theoretical room and you can't go north, south, east, west, you could go up a ladder or down a ladder. So that's probably something that we want to support. Rooms can, exits could also technically be locked. So where I might need a key or something to that degree. Most importantly, we have the text parser. The text parser is really unique in its own because this is how we get commands from the player. So the player is going to tell us to go north, or they could just say go north, or they could just say in. And all these are appropriate types of commands that we could use. One thing that I really love about old-fashioned text parsers is that when you look at a lot of commands that people write, you could say, pick up the book. Well, the text parser is going to convert this into, say, just pick up book. So notice it recognizes that pick up as 2 words means the same as pick up. Could also mean the same as get book or retrieve book. There are synonyms for several of the different actions in the game. If I say one, I probably mean this, or this. They all mean the same thing. So having a parser that can take text, it can tokenize it into command. So essentially you have command, you'll have command and then the object that you want the command to be executed on. So another example might be talk to Bob. Text parser is smart enough to go through and realize that words like the or to don't really have any use in our language. So saying, hey, let's talk to Bob, that really could mean just talk Bob. And that's enough information for us to make some sort of decision moving forward. Let's see. So we have rooms. We also have inventory or items. You should be able to pick up an item, and an item has a description. In some adventures, items would have weights, so you only had so much that you could physically carry at one time. I know a lot of massive multiplayer games, they do sort of the same thing. I don't care about that. So you have a description. These things also have unique IDs of some sort. So, and rooms are the same way. So a room will have a unique room ID. And so if what's nice about items is, let's say I'm in room A and I pick up the item, and I move over to room X and I drop the item should exist in room X. And then we have some sort of event manager, or I've even seen this in some cases called the game master. This is the thing that says something happened. Can we do anything about it? Does something else need to happen? And I can't type today. Does something else need to happen? That's really interesting. So an example might be walk into room X while holding the book, and Bob yells at you to stop reading. That's probably something that could happen. Maybe something more common would be if I type unlock door, and while holding key, that unlocks the door so I can go in that direction. So just general things to keep in mind. The event manager also can support action, so it keeps a running tally of what important events have happened in the game. So what important things have happened? I remember the old Sierra games, like Space Quest, Police Quest, stuff like that. They had a flag system, and because they ran on limited memory, it would have like 256 flags for a particular game. So sometimes they would reuse flags, or they would have or a flag would have multiple purposes. But a flag might be turned on the stove. So maybe you turned on the stove and you go into another room and you light the match, but you never fixed the stove, so the house blows up. You have to keep track of all these different events in the game, and in these classic adventure games, that was almost as simple as saying enable flag 35, and you just knew, because you were the developer of the game, that flag 35 meant I turned on the stove. But okay, so that's kind of a good starting point. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of features of several games. Oh. You also need to be able to save and load your game. That would basically dump the current game state, and then reload it. What's great about this is, I know in the older adventure games, this was simply going through and you're writing bits. So this happened, that happened, this happened. Does have the book, does not have the cell phone. you would just write all these bits, and they were in very specific parts of the saved file. So when they were read back out, you could repopulate the game state. We have massive amount of hard drive space, and we have JSON. So I could probably just write a quick dump method that writes everything out to JSON, maybe compresses it and puts it in a file. I don't really care about things like game security. So if someone gets a game file and they want to go through and hack it so they have the book without actually going to the screen that has the book, that's completely on them. It's not any of my problem. Alrighty, let's start writing some code. I'm going to go ahead and save this. We'll put it into our application. But basically, the way one of these things works is let's just have a while loop. So while true, and oops, I forget I'm not in Real Visual Studio, so my keyboard shortcuts don't work the same way. So while true, we want to just I want to do a console dot write. We'll do write because I want the person to type, and we'll put a caret, and then we'll just say console. We'll read line. So read line will just say, all right, let the person, whoever's at the computer, type a line, and when they hit enter, that will return the method. So we'll pull that back as input string. And then, while true, let's do it all over. Then, to do, process the input. All right, so assuming this is very basic stuff. If we run this as is, oh my gosh, I already have an exception. Because I forgot to put a semicolon. Run this again. Oh. Why are none of my keyboard shortcuts working in now? Start debugging. All right, where's my output? I fixed that. Okay, well, when in doubt, just go .NET run. All right, so yay, I have a parser of some sort. So if I just say north, south, east, west, it doesn't really do anything. And I also don't have a way to exit, so I have to exit out of it. So maybe that should be the first step is let's create a, let's just create a class. We'll call it parser. We'll call it command parser. That's a super fancy name. And command parser takes I don't know what is going to return yet, so we'll just say process command text, and it takes in command text. I'll refactor that here in a moment. Hey, my buddy Brady Gaster is out there. How you doing, Brady? Good to see you, sir. You should go over to Brady's channel because Brady does some like cool electronic music mixing stuff on occasion. Really enjoy Brady's channel. All right, so let's do a little bit of work here. we'll just call this parser, and it's a new command parser. Then down here, we'll say parser.process command text, and that takes the input string, or remove our to do. All right, so this obviously needs to do something. It needs to return something. What does that look like? I don't know. So maybe step one is you know what? Let's just do a simple check. If command text equals quit. So equals quit. I want to do string comparison, because I really don't care about casing. So I don't care if it's the same. So here I want to return. So we should probably create maybe some sort of enumeration for different types of commands. I'm just thinking out loud. If you have a better idea, throw it in chat. So we'll just say commands. No, don't go to Brady's channel. It's very, very dark there. I don't know. I've enjoyed your music. It's fun watching your process because you have an awesome setup, Brady. I'm pretty sure you have several $1,000s worth of equipment there. All right, so for lack of, I always forget how to do this. So we'll just say it's public string. Is it const? Public const string. And we'll just say, we'll say command quit is equal to quit. All right. So we'll just say we want to return commands command quit. Oh, yep, that works. I don't think commands has to be static, but maybe it does. All right, so returned that. This is going to all right. Come on, Visual. You know, if I was in real Visual Studio, this would say Kevin. All right, for now, it's just going to return a string. You know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. What do I want to do? Maybe I want this to be an enumeration. Maybe that's what I really want. Maybe I want this to be an enum. Yeah, this is all my development is. Every single day is just figuring out what I want things to be. For do you want to force a closed enum with a limited list of actions? I think that's where I'm going, Brady. I really don't know. I need this to be kind of a growing list of take in text and interpret the meaning and return the meaning in a known way. So $3,000, including cable desk and all that, took 4 years. I know what you mean. What language am I using? This is all C#. Let's see. You know what? I don't know why I have the negative one here. Let's just start with 0. This is why we can refactor things later. So, all right, I need this to return enum command. I want this to say command. Instead, command quit. All right. Not all paths return some sort of extraction object with a key that's named command and a method that does not work. That way you can load a list of them and let them do their own job. I think I see where you're going. Let me continue down my thought process here. I might go back and refactor that. You know what? Let me do this. Let me do unknown as 0, and then that'll just increment from there. You know what? I'm just going to be difficult. Unknown is -1. Man, I do not like text or code lens in code. I need to turn that off. All right, so if we get quit, we convert that into a command that we know, which is enumeration. This is obviously going to have to do more later. So it's more what Brady's talking about is, let's say this is just a single word command. So if I come back and say get book or pick up book, well, it's going to be a command in an object that it's going to have to act on. So this can't just be, hey, you said get or pick up or open. You said open on this object. And then something else is going to have to come in and say, well, does that object exist? Can we do what you want to do? So obviously that will have to refactor. Okay, so let's go back up here. Let's let's put in a switch statement if I could type, and we'll say case quit. If that happens, we'll write out to console write line. Thanks for playing. Actually, we'll do this. We'll do console.clear. I remember all the old DOS games where when you would quit, the entire screen would clear, and then up at the top would say, "Thanks for playing," blah blah blah. All right. Break. So in case unknown. What? Oh my gosh, I am failing hard right now. Why are you upset? Oh, because it's command. Dot. Command quit, not quit. All right. Duh. All right. Command unknown. This is also default. Let me put them this way. All right, so if that happens, we should just write out to the console, write line. I'm not sure what to do. That's what I loved about classic adventure games. It was always like you were talking to a person, so you had this narrator you were barking commands at, and sometimes he or she would come back and say, "Look, I don't know what to do. What do you want from me?" All right, so default cannot fall out. Switch from final. All right, whatever. Why does this still say I'm missing a semicolon? I'm not missing a. All right, I'm missing something somewhere. That would help right there. All right. Yeah, it gives you an error, but it's not really the right error. The error shouldn't have been you can't fall through. The error should have been. So I should be able to do that. Okay. All right. For a moment there, I thought I was going crazy, but I was just forgetting my curly bracket. All right. All right. So, and for some reason, VS Code just decided to stop running. So, all right. Well, when in doubt, just go .NET run. So if I just say foo, It's going to say I'm not sure what to do. I would love to make this smarter and maybe give it some commands where it recognizes the command, but it still doesn't know what to do with it. So, for example, like fun things you could say if you said get book. It's like, Kevin, there's no book in here. If I had a book, I would throw it at you. Yeah, there's fun things. But if I say quit, thanks for playing. Oh, I forgot the most important part. Is when you quit, you should actually quit. So here, this could just return, but I'm going to do an environment exit for funsies. Do I need a code? 0. All right, let's try that one more time. All right, so I'm in here. If I just do foo, but then I do quit, it says thanks for playing. Put you back at the command prompt, just like all the classic adventure games did. Awesome. Okay, so we kind of have the basic building block here. So I'm just gonna do a quick git check. So we'll say git add. I forgot. Does VS Code get added to source control? I don't think it does. Let me go to gitignore.io. Visual Studio Code. Yep, that's what I thought. If you never used gitignore.io, I highly recommend it. They also have some command line packages you can install, and they'll generate all this for you automatically. I'm just being lazy. So, yep. So git add dot git status. Why did it still ask my JSON? It's in here. Oh, ignore VS Code, but leave the other JSON files. Okay, never mind. So let's say implement basic text parser. And let's push that up. Yay, step 1 done. All right. Took 45 minutes to load from a cassette. Then you crash. Oh my gosh. I remember. I don't go that far back. I'm sorry, you're much older than I am, Brady, I think. But I remember having to update my auto exec bat and config.sys to load memory, load stuff in high memory, so I'd have just enough memory to get my game to run, and then you would quit the game and you would go take that line out, and it was a whole process just to start one game. It wasn't 45 minutes, but it was a process. All right, why is my VS Code crashing? Let's restart it. Maybe it's mad at me because I didn't do a refresh or do the update. All right, updated to 3.1. Blah blah blah. All right, that's some settings are updated. You can remove unnecessary somethings. Oh, that's one of my extensions. So now let me pull some of this into their own files, just for sake of move type to command parser. All right, and then this is going to fix itself. Well, now where's my helper that says, hey, Kevin, I see you have a command over here. All right, so, oh, there it goes. All right, it just takes VS Code another moment or two to get everything going. All right, so let's pull that out. All right, so probably the first thing we would want to do here is let's spit out a room description, and then we we'll do a line here. Just put a break in. Well, that means we need some sort of like room, let's say room explorer, a room manager, for lack of a better word. So I'll say, holy cow, I am sucking at typing today. I am extremely tired because I've been working my butt off, putting out fires and all these different client projects. And tomorrow I am flying down to Fort Lauderdale and we're going on a cruise for a couple days. And I'm just disconnecting. Can't wait. We'll call this room manager. Room manager probably will. Let's see. I'm just scoping all this out. So we'll say a public list of type room. We'll just say rooms. I'll make that a private list. What's a room? All right. Well, a room we already know is has a description. We'll give it an ID. I'm going to make it a long ID because you never know how many rooms some of these stupid games would have. So let's make it big enough so I can have a whole bunch of honking rooms. Let's see. A room can have exits. So let's say a list of exits. I'm just going with my thought process here. So what's an exit? An exit is a direction and what's a direction? So a direction is an enumeration. So we have north. Oh my gosh. North, south, east, west, up, down. Let's format that. Oh. All right. I like my enums. Oh my gosh, CodeLens. Stop it. All right, so it has a direction. And we'll say target room ID. So if I go north, it takes me from room 1 to room 2. I don't think that will bite me yet. So we'll. All right, I know. Let's use our using statements. Okay, so I think that's all good. So then room manager. Let's create a constructor. List a room. And we'll go room, add new room. And what's a room have in it? A room has an ID. We'll call it 0. Say description. Since you're here, Brady will say outside Brady's house. Actually, hold on. So we'll say we'll give the room a name because rooms had they had names and they had descriptions. And what would happen is, I'm reminiscing now, if you went to a room, left, and then came back, it's not like it would show you the whole description again. It would just show you the name of the room that you're in. So you could always say look room or look and would spit out the description all over again. But all right, I like the way this is going. So we'll say the name. Is using string equals with ignore case more efficient than to lower? Um, that is a fantastic question. My understanding, and this is my understanding from like years and years ago when I looked up a more efficient way to do uh, case checking, is that when you say, and someone correct me if I'm wrong because I could very well be wrong, is that if you say ordinal, well, let's just go look it up because I honestly don't remember. Um, I think ordinal ignore case goes character by character by character. So if you have extremely long strings, uh, you could potentially return false sooner than and use less memory than you would if you were basically creating a new string. That's what lower does. To lower creates a new string. It doesn't. Um, cr- it doesn't reuse the existing string. I think string equals the way that I'm using it here. So string A compared to string B, um, that prevents us, like Brady says, from creating a third string. So if I said lower command text dot to lower, that would create a third string. In our case, it doesn't matter at all. It all accomplishes the same thing. Um, I'm just really used to. I try to make it a habit, especially in our web-based applications that are doing a lot of calls and a lot of string manipulation, to use equals with string comparison flags, just because I have always read that that's a little bit more performant and better for memory. Um, so but that's actually a really good question, and I probably should have an answer right off the top of my head, but I don't. This is just what I'm used to. And then the other question is, well, which one of these ignore cases do you use? And I really don't ever pay much attention to culture in our applications. I probably should, but I don't. So I just say, well, let's go through the ordinals. All right. So let's go in here. Let's finish building our room. Let's see if we can get one room on the screen. Then I probably got to dip out for the day and go pack my bags. So we're outside Brady's house. And what's the description? Brady has an extremely lovely home. There are even trees and flowers. On your left, there is a truck up on some blocks. I don't know if that's representative of Brady's real home, but I'm just taking my best guess here. All right, so this is why I miss ReSharper. I want to format all that stuff. All right, and then I need to do some exits. We'll say, so new list of exits. And then we'll say, all right, new exit. And I probably should make all these constructors so I don't have to. So what's my exit? My exit has a target ID. We'll just say, well, I have direction. So if I go north, it's target room 2. And that's all I'm going to build at the moment. We can always go back and refactor and do more. All right, so I'm going to copy and paste. Oh, well, hold on. Let's make that target room 1. And then this is ID 1. And we'll say inside Brady's house. The inside is even nicer than the outside. Equipment sit on a table. All right. All right, so then if I go south, I should go back to room 0, which, yay. Having a few buffering moments. I'm not sure if that's controllable. Well, then, let's see if it's a Kevin issue. I'm plugged into... Yeah, I'm having a slow internet day. That's half of what it should be. Oh, no, it's going up. 44. So, yeah, I'm getting red marks in my OBS. I'm running on a different machine for the rendering. Not sure why it's weird. All right. Yeah, really. I need a resharper. All right, so I'm gonna get that good. Why did add? Oh, because add doesn't take 2 arguments because I'm a dummy. Let's do that. Okay, so our room manager creates a couple rooms. You know what? Room manager is going to keep track of current room. I'm making all these private, so maybe I should really do... Whoops. That's not what I wanted. Yeah, I'm missing all my resharper shortcuts, and I'm using resharper shortcuts when I mean to use... Well, what's my rename? What's the keyboard shortcut to rename a variable? Is there one? You know what? All right. You know what? I'm just going to leave this alone. All right. So current room starts at 0 by default. And let's add a method in here. We'll say get current room name, and that just returns rooms. It's a list, so I should do first where ID is equal to current room name. Actually, I don't like that. I want this. We'll make this current room ID, and then we'll say current room. So the getter is return rooms first, where the ID is equal to current room ID. All right, I like that a little bit better. Current room ID. All right. All right, so let's get rid of this, and then we can just return name. Yeah. Can I turn on word wrap, please? Fritz. I actually don't use code that often, so I'm still learning this. Where is word wrap? Toggle word wrap. There we go. Does that make you feel better, Fritz? And folks, if you have not been to Mr. C Sharp Fritz's channel, his channel is amazing, and I would like to personally help him get to 5,000 followers, because he's going to rainbow his beard or his goat if he gets to 5,000 members. So and he's also the reason I've started Twitch streaming, is just I was really impressed with what he was doing, and I wanted to get me some of that. All right, so we'll say get current room description. I'm hiding these behind methods more so I can control what they do in the future. I don't know if I want to expose it all over the place. So that's something I could always refactor if I need to. Why is it not like first? It's because I might not. Ah. All right. So, okay. So assuming we get this far, let me also create a room manager. And we'll spit out, all right, console right line. We'll say room manager, get current room name, and then console right line, get current room description. Oh, I'm going to do some fancy. It's been a long time since I've worked in console, so we'll set was it for, how do you do bold? I forgot how you do bold. All this